Hi everyone, welcome back to Music Chat with Wendy and Barb. This is Opus 3, and we're going to be talking about the hymn Blessed Assurance today. Lots to know about this hymn writer and very interesting background, and I hope you enjoy hearing about this beloved hymn. So Barbara's going to start us off and tell us a little about this very special lady who wrote this.
Absolutely, and it is a song, a hymn to me, that sings itself. It just, every time you sing it, you just feel like you could sing it forever.
You feel like you know it even if it's the first time you've heard it.
I know, it's such a good hymn. Well, it of course was written by Fanny Crosby, and she was an American writer in the early 1800s, again about the same time as our guy from England. And she was born in Brewster, New York in 1820, and she lived to be 95 years old. Really amazing.
For that time period, that was pretty
definitely.
rare.
She died in 1915. But the thing that's very significant about Fanny Crosby, well, a couple of things, but one thing is that when she was 6 weeks old, she had an eye infection. And in her town, the regular doctor was out of town, so they sent somebody else to the house to treat this eye infection. Now remember, she was only 6 weeks old, little tiny baby, and this particular doctor put some kind of poultice or something over her eyes, and it actually burned the skin. It burned her eyes, so that for the rest of her life she was blind. Such a tragic thing, because it was an accident that caused that.
Right.
So she ended up going to the New York School for the Blind when she was 15, and became very successful there. But she was smart, and she also had a way with words. She met her husband there, and she eventually became a teacher there at the New York School for the Blind. She started writing her poems and hymns when she was 6 years old. So I mean, it's something that she had always done. Her father died when she was very young, and so her mother had to go out and work as a maid or a housekeeper or something like that. So she was left with her grandmother. Her grandmother was very strict but loving. So she really gained a lot of her moral compass through her grandmother growing up. She was very strict, like I said, but she also would discipline her with a lot of love. She grew up in the Methodist church. It was very Methodist, and what else can I say? But she gained a lot of her faith from the teachings of her grandmother. And with Blessed Assurance, it's interesting because once she was writing a lot of hymns, she wrote over 5,000 hymns
5,000?
in her lifetime.
My word.
I know, unbelievable. And with this particular one, she had a friend, what is her first name? I just have Mrs. Knapp here. Phoebe Knapp was her friend, because Fanny would use many different composers for the music. She was always the one that wrote the text. And Mrs. Knapp came to her house, and I guess the organ at the church was broken. So she said, I'll just come to your house and I'll play. And she sat down and she said, okay, Fanny, what about this melody? What do you hear what words do you think of when I play this melody? And right away, she said, Blessed Assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. And it just came out of her mouth, and then she said that the rest of it just poured out of her. So she just had this gift of being able to express her faith that way. The hymn itself, if we're ready to talk about the hymn itself, do you have something that you want to add?
Well, I do know that it's one of the few, I can say this about Blessed Assurance, it's very well known, but I don't know it. I was raised Lutheran, as you know, and I don't know it from childhood. It was not in the Lutheran hymn book. It was not in the 1958 cranberry, the red hymn book that we all had at that time, and it was not in the LBW, the green that we updated to
Probably
in
not in the
1978.
Lutheran book, no.
And what's very interesting, though, it made its way back into our current hymn book. And so my experience with Blessed Assurance, I think I got to know this hymn when I worked in a Presbyterian church here in Clearwater for a few years. This came up pretty often in that setting. And so, you know, as beloved and as well known as it is, it's kind of odd not to have really known it from childhood so much, in my case.
Yeah.
In your case.
I did. In fact, one of the first churches I served with was a Methodist church, and I grew up in a Methodist
Right.
church, so I had sung it, of course, then. And then, as a young church music director, golly, 30 years ago or more, there was in my church a little musical, a little play about Fanny Crosby, and so we did this little theater production, and of course included so many of her hymns, and this is just one of the ones that's the most beloved, I think.
Well, and I'd have to look again, but I checked this and I can't remember now, but I don't think that any of her hymns were in one of the two hymn books, you know, the 1958 and the 1978.
In the Lutheran church?
Yeah,
and
I think there was one hymn in there by her in one of the books, and now we have, I think, two in our current book by her, and this, of course, is one of them. So interesting. I wonder how it made it back.
Probably
And,
people
you know,
that are just kind of
so-
moving around churches, and you know, they sing it because it's
Well, I'm sure it's requested
Yeah.
much for funerals and things like that, and so it may have even made its way back in because it's requested so much. And,
probably.
then if your hymn book doesn't have it, you have to go find
Find it
another
somewhere.
source. So
Let me say something
Don't
about
know.
what she was thinking. There are two things. My notes here say it reflects her walk of faith as expressed by Paul in Philippians 1:21. So, and the essence of that is, for to me to live is Christ and to die is gain. So it was all about the wonderful prize that happens to Christians upon their death. They can, blessed assurance, Jesus is mine, I'm going to go through this life. I don't worry about that because I'm going to go to heaven. And the other verse, oh, what a foretaste of heaven divine. You know, it's a lot about that, focused on heaven and a place where perfect submission and perfect delight will take place, if you think about it.
Right.
That's really, really it. I always sang it as a song of faith, but I don't know that, you know, I'm focused on heaven that much, but I always sang it as a song of faith. And there's another reference in Thessalonians, pray without ceasing. So it's praising my Savior all the day long.
all the day long.
Right. And one other little tidbit about her writing this hymn, at that time, women were not anything they did was not really heard very well. I mean, it didn't get any notice. So in my notes it says, women had little voice in worship. However, a woman could claim, if they claimed authority to be heard, they said, well, it was a vision from God. So as long as they said that whatever they were doing was inspired by a vision from God, the powers that be decided, well, I guess it's okay then. And that's really the way she got a lot of her.
Well, I don't doubt
hymns.
that was sincere in her
Yeah,
case, too.
and it was
It's
sincere.
very evident.
But
yeah.
it's so strange that, you know, it had to be that way. But, and now we think about all of her hymns and how people love to sing them. I know the choir probably gets tired of, okay, this is our hymn again, Blessed Assurance, but I just love to sing it.
It's a great hymn.
It
yeah.
just is such
And
an
it is
uplifting
actually
hymn.
one of our few hymns that's in a compound meter. You know, for those that know music better, it's a 9/8 hymn. We don't really have a lot of those in our Lutheran collection. much more so in the gospel tradition. You know, has
It's
that type
feeling
of a meter, the tripletty. Right. Yeah. Right.
That, yeah.
Right.
Most definitely.
Yes.
And it
So-
gives it power.
It was a good matchup, the two ladies that
Most definitely.
that wrote this, you know, music and text. So,
Yeah, so
and I wanted to note too. I was in thinking of this. One of my remembrances of learning about blessed assurance was, you know, this was used in the movie Places in the Heart with Sally Field, Ed Harris in the 90s, I think. And I remember the opening scene, you know, of the people in the sanctuary in the little country church. And the first thing that you see in this movie is the congregation singing Blessed Assurance. And the movie Places in the Heart, you know, you think what were the places in the heart in that movie? And the opening scene being faith as one of them, and family, faith and family and home, certainly were depicted in that. And this hymn certainly gave the character of that. So, and I'm sure it's been used a lot in movies and backdrops for things because it is so beloved.
yeah,
So-
it's perfectly for something like that.
So we're going to move inside and sing this, and we'll just kind of finish with saying what a lot of insight from someone who didn't have eyesight.
Exactly.
An amazing gift to all of us to have her collection of Fanny Crosby. So we'll move inside and sing this for you, and hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about Blessed Assurance. Welcome back. We're going to give you our performance now of Blessed Assurance, and I want to thank Melanie for helping us out with the filmography part of our presentation this morning. And she's actually going to wander into the frame here with us and play a little flute on the second and third verses. We hope you enjoy all three verses of the great hymn Blessed Assurance by Fanny Crosby.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine! Heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of His Spirit, washed in His blood.
Join us next time, everybody, for Music Chat with Wendy and Barb. See you then.
Bye.